people at least can go back to recording if they miss things as well.
Okay, you want to bring my
Yeah,
computer?
and I'll share my
Ah, okay.
screen too.
All right, so I'm going to take my computer and go into the boardroom.
No worries. Yep, sounds good. I'll see you there. So think what the first thing I might do, Kusum, is work out who has to come off the project and who has to
Yes,
come
yes,
on the project, probably as much as anything else.
yes.
And
I
and
think there has been a
and
lot
that
of
will be the
change.
easiest
Yeah.
thing, yeah. So that way people can let
Mm.
me know. Um,
Mm.
uh,
Oh, oh, definitely. Teeny can go.
yeah,
Belinda can go. Nick Roberts. Phil is here. Renata can go.
yeah,
Okay. So, do they still receive a copy of your report?
oh yeah, they're
Who's
getting. Well, they're the only ones really that have access to everything. Yeah, exactly. So that's what's been happening. So essentially, the last one was sent out this month.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and so yeah, and often within that, there's sort of things that we can be doing to help how you can help yourselves other than just
yeah,
what I do effectively. But yeah,
yes,
being mindful of the fact that yeah, if it's new people on the project, yeah, and funnily enough, I was actually the person that well through probably Renata as much as anything, the website was refreshed and redone through Hillary, who's in my
oh
network
yes,
as well. So
yes,
that was as a result of me knowing Hillary, and then and then I did all the social medias. But it's fair to say, yeah, there was a everything was a little bit all over the shop in terms
mm,
of probably as much as anything because we were in COVID and or coming out of COVID and having multiple states and sites and that sort of stuff. So, but anyway,
yeah,
yeah, we'll work it out today. I don't know why I jumped back there because yeah, that was. I've actually got a couple of things open, so I'll be able to. I want to sort of, as I said, the first thing probably just needs to be that we make sure that the people that are on it are who should be on it, and take off anybody that doesn't need to be on it, and then I'll
yes,
probably point people in the right direction in terms of yeah what we're actually what we've done and what we're doing, sort of thing. I think that's probably the best bet. Yeah.
okay. This is fairly new to me, so I don't have much background. It'll be first time I'm actually going to be looking at everything that you do.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, yeah, I'll wait till everybody else is on, but I guess it sounds like we're all going to be doing, we'll do reintroductions and things. Oh, there we are on the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've got John and Charity here. Steve.
Hello, folks. How you going?
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Good. I'll go sit there.
Um,
Ah, yes. Okay. Yes, we are ready, Steve.
sure. Well, um, I guess in a way, I think, well, Charity's kind of called the meeting. So I guess the first thing is I don't know what you want to do, whether we go around the room or and just give a quick introduction. Um, but what I've actually got on the screen there is just actually because I was just talking to Diana and to Kuzum just around. Oh, it sounds like everybody that was on the project's not on the project, and everybody's new. So there's probably been some changes. So maybe that's probably the first thing is to be brought up to speed as to what's happened in the last. It's probably 12 months. I think we started back in September last year. Basically, we did the setup of all the social medias for the brand, and then and we've been managing it and reporting, albeit to probably people that are not getting those reports who maybe should be the ones getting those reports nowadays. So I wondered whether a place to start might be if you tell me who shouldn't be on this anymore and who should be on the project. That's probably it would be a good start. But maybe John, did you want to just sort of go around and introduce? Should we just introduce around the table?
Oh, I see. Well, I guess self-introduction's okay. I'm the founder, been around forever, and but have a strong interest in getting a social media presence sorted. You've got Kasum there on the screen. looking pretty good. Myself, and then there's Diana, who's joined us in HR, managing all of our HR and charity, of course. But I think just before we go and say who's on and who's off, what we've done is kind of reorganisation, I guess. The Queensland people have, which is my kids, they've decided they want to run Queensland. So
yep.
With some help from me. They're doing that. That's Renata and Nick, and then I'm here back in town, I guess, with the team Big Taz. So we're doing probably we've got some separate projects that we're doing. So I think from my point of view and our conversation today, we're probably focusing on Big Taz. I'm not sure what Nick and Nada are doing up there, whether they want to engage with you on this project. But and then a lot of the people there now that we're at this point. I mean, we've got Belinda, so Caitlin Everhart may have some activity with us. Teeny's moved on to another company. Diana's here, of course. Nick's moved to Queensland.
Yeah.
Phil is here, and Renata's in Queensland.
Yeah.
So, but I think this probably what we've got is Phil is doing mostly visualization stuff. So we're trying to focus pretty much on that and not too much on these peripheral sort of activities.
Yeah. So we'll probably maybe just so I'm clear. So at the moment, just to take one back step. So effectively, clearly, to be honest, how I got it on the project realistically was because Renata engaged me. So, and I'm also, Hillary is in the network. So she then did the rebrand around the website and that side of things. In actual fact, we'd done the social media initially, and then we rebranded the social media so it was consistent with the website as well, right? So I guess my question would be is that at the moment we're posting every second day under management, providing a report every second month around how the brand is going. So the fact that there's a separation between Queensland and Victoria now, clearly there's always been those offices, and I think we've got Caitlin's down in Tassie, isn't she? I think from memory, someone was down in Tassie. Yep. I guess the question around today's meeting, in terms of what were you wanting to do around, were you thinking that you would then have separate social medias for the different states as well, or what was good? Because that had been the case already, but people couldn't work out who had the keys to Queensland, particularly around Facebook, and who and what keys were available to us in the ones that we're actually chose to use, which have been put into a Meta Business Suite with the Instagram and that side of things. So at the moment, all the posts are going as brand posts in the same way as the website. So I think the website still houses everybody together. Is that correct? So the website doesn't distinguish. It has the offices.
No, it doesn't differentiate.
No, that's what I mean. So yeah, so in some ways the social media it reflects that, right? So we basically we're about explaining why us. We put testimonials up. We do some news type related posts around the business every second day, and as I said, then we're reporting across all those channels. So I guess the question around what you were hoping from today's meeting, or what the questions were around today's meeting. So
yeah, well, I think there's the one word answer to your original question. That's yes, they are separate.
The original question was
together, or are they separate? And yes, they are separate.
Are they separate now? Okay. So you do then a separate Victoria-based, so set up a separate Victoria social medias versus having the and so which ones would we use, given you're the founder, owner, dad? Which ones? Who takes priority, Victoria or Queensland?
Oh, well, I think they're going to go and do their own thing, aren't they? I mean,
so effective. Yeah. Okay.
This is what they want to do. They want it to be, they wanted to be they're a separate company. So,
Okay.
and they're, 2,500 kilometres separate from us. So,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
doesn't say geographic point of view, there's not much point in,
So in
in,
terms of the website though, with that website, does that is that going to change then as well?
well, we just need to talk to Hillary about the just making the sites more concise, and
Yeah.
then later, as we're moving into franchising this year, so we'll be building more sites, more branch sites. So
Yeah.
I'll be talking to her about that process.
Yeah.
But that's right.
So so,
Yeah,
so let's just maybe what the best thing would be at the moment then is clearly if we're talking about a uh, so realistically it's really just the Vic operation taking over the current assets that exist and are being communicated through. Is that correct?
sorry. Say that
So
again.
the Victoria will take on the current assets, or are you looking to recreate assets for Victoria? So, or what you're saying is that Queensland will go and create their own assets, social media wise.
Yeah, right.
Queensland,
Yeah,
yeah. So Queensland will go and create their own rather than you having to create your own. Yep.
yeah. They'll do that.
Okay.
Yes, they'll do that.
Yeah. So
But
effectively,
we
well, that
retain.
yeah. So that's
We
probably yeah.
retain. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably easier from this end. Although I think what probably this session then on that basis is best doing is
Yeah.
working out how we do a bit of a handover to people in your office that are around here today, right? So in terms of so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Correct.
as I said, as a starting point, clearly we'll be John, are you able to help me here in terms of will we so Belinda stay on or off?
Off.
Off. Yeah.
Belinda would be off. Um, Caitlin's still on because she's Taz, right? That would be in our
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Well.
Gone.
Yeah.
Tina's well and truly gone. Yeah, yeah. I say that
Yeah.
because I know she had gone previously. Diana's still. Nick's interesting enough. Nick never accepted the invitation, but he would be getting the emails. But yeah, so we can remove Nick.
Well, Nick's practicing silence at the moment, so
Okay.
maybe just
Actually, what we
meditate.
might do is, I mean, there's probably no great need to immediately remove Nick and Renata. In fact, there could be issues. I remember even in the first place where I needed Renata's help around a couple of things just to make sure that we do actually transact them properly. So, and Renata's still down.
Well,
Is Renata moved up to Queensland as well now, or is she still down here?
she's back and forwards, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But she's got a different email address too. What's
Gmail.
Oh, she's just got her
she
using
has
it.
a
Yeah, she's just using a Gmail.
Gmail?
Yeah. So
Well,
is
Nick's Nick's using, but he's not using.
so
They changed the URL.
Phil is here. Sorry. Is
Yeah, Phil is on. Nick and Renata can be removed if we are going down the path of just Victoria Taz.
Yeah.
Because what the only change that I'm aware of, and Charity and John can correct me, is they've updated their email addresses from completenursing.com.au to Queensland CNHCQL.com.au.
Yeah, they've got different.
I think for now, I'm happy we can remove them, but I think what we might do is actually, so I'm just going to put you guys on here, right? So I actually did copy this before our meeting, just so I kind of was trying to work out, okay, who needs to come on as much as anything.
And what about Kusum? What's Kusum doing?
Charity?
Hey,
What's
Kusum. Kusum, I've included Kusum because she's gonna be
Yeah.
for the next couple.
Yeah.
There's a
Oh, just
follow-up.
during your.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Kusum, there's three to be added.
What about,
no,
you'd made a message for Girish. Is Girish need to be on?
as now, no, the
No.
same with Phil, not
No,
as
okay.
well.
All right.
Phil, be there.
Now I'll
Sorry,
do.
Steve.
Yep.
The email address on third one needs a J in the beginning. It's
Oh,
John.
whoop, I copied it wrong. Sorry. Yep. Oh, yep. Good pickup. I'm usually
And are you
very.
saying Kusum's in time?
At the moment, unless what I don't. The thing is, Phil, I also want to know what's my involvement in terms of the accounts. That's why I want to know if we should have Kusum as well really involved in social media because As for us, we're just making sure that the account is
That's a
looked
part.
after, the invoices are getting paid, and probably nothing much in terms of social media.
Yeah, well, I think certainly that's how it's been, and you guys would know. For realistically, your involvement as individuals can be as little or as nothing as you wish it to be. I'll show you a couple of things. I'm often encouraging people within the organ. It's good to have a champion, so it's good to have somebody in the organisation that I know if I need to talk to, I can talk to, and similarly, vice versa, right? If there's particular things you want to be focusing on or saying, or even around appointments potentially. But I probably just need to have you understand what our method of social media marketing is as much as anything else. So we don't just do post here today, gone tomorrow. We're using a particular strategy that sort of works with your website and search. So we're trying to get you the best of all worlds, because social media, particularly if you're not advertising, is here today, gone tomorrow. Whereas if you're taking things and repurposing it from websites, so your content starts there, you're sharing it across the social media with the intent of them getting back to the website or the phone or the email, then you get the cycle and everything's working in harmony. So I'll talk about that in a second. But realistically, yeah, so to your question, I think it was Diana, was it? That mentioned, yeah, your involvement in accounts, really, as you said. So from my perspective, yeah, was it Diana that said about accounts or charity?
No, it's for me, charity and consume were under accounts. So I wanted clarity on that one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Well, it's probably just one of yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it doesn't
Just
probably hurt
noting
for you
that.
there's no harm for you to have line of sight, I wouldn't think. So I won't think of this as being personalized, but I'll just say CNHC team. Uh, well, in fact, it's probably, yeah. So we use Basecamp to share and retain ideas. So the idea of this is when we share with Basecamp, is not only does it sit in, you've probably possibly got some similar project management system for yourselves, but effectively the threads stay in the one place, right? So for all our clients, then I can't lose information. I kind of know where all the important stuff is together, but it also shares emails out to the people that are on it. So if I'm giving a report, the report's in Basecamp, but it also gets shared out to the people that have email within here, right? So you can either read the information on the email, or you can come into Basecamp to actually read it within there. So hence, that's why I'm inviting you into here, right? So let's do that. So you'll all get, when you go back to your desk, you'll get an email that takes you back through and invites you. You can set whatever password. I suggest you use a password that, write it down, make sure you remember it, because that will be your password. Once you've signed in once, you don't need to re-sign in every time, but just make sure you use a password for yourselves that you know how to get back into Basecamp, right? So in Basecamp, the main things for you to be aware of, and what we need to probably do, is go through a bit of a handover session with, who do you think is the most likely champion, did you say, that's going to have the most involvement? Do you know?
Well, I'm thinking we probably have an interim person who's is in the space and has got time, would be the Caitlin Everhart.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it's just more the fact that we've not really had that in the past, really, either, to be honest. It's not like, well, in actual fact, a good example of the fact is that I didn't know 8 people have kind of been and gone, right? So I've had Caitlin sort of come to me a couple of times around questions as much as anything. And in the initial circumstances, it was actually Teeny, I think, that was trying to get it all happening, right? So from the HR side of things, but but effectively, there's a couple of main things that sit within here, right? The first one is actually, what are the sites? So in actual fact, given everybody's coming in very cold, right? So I'm just going to show you one other thing, just to bear with me for 1 minute, so you actually know what what the strategy is. So you actually know what we're doing, because essentially, so let me just explain this for you, right? So, and in a way, you guys are, because you've then had Hillary come and do the website, you're exactly on what what this strategy was intended to do, right? So essentially people often get, and even I guess in Charity's initial question around recruitment. So just understanding where social media fits in the marketing house, right? So marketing is about getting your communications out and messaging out, right? So clearly I'm a marketer, but at the end of the day, I'm not looking at your pricing or positioning or place in the market or physical assets. Effectively, that's what you do as far as your business strategy and that sort of stuff go. The main thing we are interested to know is who's your customer. I think you've got two customers. I think, John, correct me if I'm wrong, effectively you have the people that you're providing care for, and then you've got the carers that come and do that. Is that correct? Because
Correct.
yeah,
The clients and
yeah, correct. Right. So
Yeah.
so you kind of got two sort of key messaging, right? One is about the staff and the type of staff you'd like to have, and the other one is about the client and the customer that you look after and care for. When we talk about offer, it's just making sure that what you offer is as good as anybody else that's offering anything similar, and we know you do that. You've got significant numbers. What makes you unique? I think you've been doing this for a long time. Is that fair to say, John?
12 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a long time?
Yeah, I think so. I've been doing this for a decade.
Yeah.
It feels like eternity. Yeah. So if you've done it 12, that's good. Um,
Yeah, we had a good time, not a long time, I guess.
yeah. So
Yeah.
content marketing, you might have heard that term. Content marketing is just two things. The words you use, you deserve to be cared for and are loving and competent. So you and your, if we can, this is the sort of language we'll often use, but it's just words. And then the other thing is the imagery that we use. And so a lot of the imagery that you've now got, particularly around the website, has been sort of branded, and we kind of continue that branding into the social media post to a degree, right? So, and then what we call communications is just the day-to-day posts. So you're going every second day post, and we're posting to Google, we're posting to LinkedIn Company, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So we're posting to 5 channels every second day, just reminding people, telling people, sharing about what it is we do and why you should choose us. They're not ads though. Ads are promotion. So that's when you're paying to do something. So effectively, I think we're on a 200 and something, 240 or so a month plan. So you're paying me roughly $60 a week or so to post every second day to 5 channels, right? We haven't done any advertising. We did, I think, one very short burst of advertising, maybe for a week at one stage that Renee asked about, but you've not done any advertising. So understanding that Facebook is not very generous when it comes to organic reach. In fact, LinkedIn and other platforms are more generous. But as soon as you spend $1 on Facebook, it becomes quite generous nowadays, more generous than it was 10 years ago even. So effectively, and you can promote whether it's for awareness or traffic or engagement. And there are 3 things you may want to choose to do, right? So in terms of make sure the brand is heavily visual. And when I say advertise, most of the clients we work with are spending sort of around $5 a day. And our rates compared to agencies are done in such a way as they're quite affordable compared to many agencies, because we want people, or we suggest people can get better value and early value about just spending $1 or so, up $5 a day on advertising to get awareness and traffic to the website. Right. So that'll make more sense when I just show you, because then one of the other things we do is a reporting. But effectively, just understanding the strategy, we're taking information from the website that Hillary and yourselves have done. We're repurposing it down to here. Sometimes we create little Canva tiles for your reviews and that sort of thing. We might do that on a Friday, for instance. And we kind of know ultimately it's all about competitive advantage. We want you to get and retain as many clients as possible, right? So that's what the model's about. So I don't know if there are any questions just around that.
No, that's okay.
Interesting. Yesterday's marketing class was about competitive advantage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you're going to ask a question around that?
No, I think
a lecture on that. I'm all right.
Yeah.
So, I think just to go back, in terms of our policy, we don't use the website to drive a lot of business. I mean, the awareness is great, but it fits into our strategy of legitimacy. with these agencies, the best clients we get are referrals from, you know, the hospitals or from the charities or from the other referrers out in the community, the NDIS staff or Brotherhood of St Lawrence. We use the website as you know, as one of three items to be legitimate, authentic as an agency. So, you know, my view is you've got to have those three things. You've got to have business cards, you've got to have a pretty brochure, and you've got to have a website. Yeah, if you've got all those three things, then people believe, oh yeah, you're a proper agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we built the website on that basis that it's, you know, it's a legitimate thing. We didn't ever expect to generate a lot of business from it.
Yeah.
But
I hear you 100%, John. Yep, you're 100% correct. In fact, the only thing you left off now is that you've also got 6 social media websites, and they're also very important around that sort of asset basis. So in terms of what you own, and I hear you 100%. I work with a number of NDIS type providers, and including you may have some involvement with BudgetNet, the financial management mob. So they're probably the largest. BudgetNet, are you familiar with them?
No, we don't know them. No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so they're a service provider. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So in fact, we started with them, and to some degree, just not too long before you guys. So we kind of use that as a bit of a template. But exactly the words you used, you know, is what I actually say to any business, whether it's NDIS or not now, particularly post-COVID. As much as anything, it's about proofing and trust. And your online asset nowadays isn't just your website. And the reality is, with your website, you kind of require people to come to it, right? Whereas in social media, you kind of can get into the feeds of them in much, much larger numbers than what you can ever get them seeing your website directly, right? So that's, but anyway, but I agree with you. I hear you 100%. A lot of it is almost, I remember somebody once said to me, it's almost about stonewalling, right? Particularly around retention of clients and the types of network that you have. And I hear you in terms of very important for your key network people, the people that are referral partner people that are coming and giving you those sort of things. This stuff becomes maybe the most important for them in terms of, so that they're seeing it and they're familiar and they keep staying, as much as anything, just top of mind for you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So let me. So as I said, I think just being mindful of time, it's what I think we might want to do is actually, as much as anything, just to make sure that people are on this. I doubt that you are, right? So effectively at the moment, just so you know, this is what. In fact, what have we got here? That's not your report. That's your. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to go to. Actually, no. I think I'm going to take a step back, right? So I think, just so you're aware, at the moment, what we would need to do at the moment, I have access, not ownership access, mind you, to all of your social media platforms, right? So what we need to make sure, probably as much as anything, John, is that you probably need to have owner access to everything, and it's sitting within a platform that they're your assets, right? So that you understand that they're your assets, and that I can drive them, and so can the people that you want to be able to at least have access or be able to drive them as well in the organization. Because at the moment, there's a bit of handover that's probably required, as much maybe from Renata, I have a feeling. But unless I sat with you, I imagine it might be quite difficult. As I said, I think we'd probably just need an hour with yourself and maybe, who did we say who the most likely? Sorry, I probably talked over it. Apologies for that if I did it. But John, who is the most likely other person that in the organisation, in the immediate, if we were to do that earlier rather than later, that we might be able to sit down and do that with?
Well, I think the person, as I said, the person that's got the time and some expertise is probably the Caitlin person.
Oh, Caitlin. Okay, well, Caitlin's still there. That's right. So Caitlin, if that's the case, you're right. Caitlin probably has similar access to most of those things to me at the moment. So So it might be that
Mhm.
we tee up a time with Caitlin and yourself to just go through that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. Well,
um,
good. Yeah.
that would
Yeah.
be the best bet. Yeah, okay. No, that's good. So as I said, I just want to get
Yeah.
you so you've got access to the LinkedIn company. That's not hard. That's actually just a matter of so that's an easy one. But the Facebook Meta account, which includes your Facebook any ads, not that we've been running it, but it's sitting in there, and the Instagram
Mm.
account. So it's often the part that gets a bit messy, right? So we just need to make sure that your Facebook Meta business is got the right people, that has the right controls over that. Again,
Mhm.
Twitter's not so hard because that's just a shared access. But the other one we want to make sure is that, in fact, I can see we've updated it, and it's probably updated correctly, I would hope. But the Google Business and the Tasmanian Google Map, right?
Mhm.
And what we could be doing for that is actually posting to Tasmania as well as in terms of Google
Yeah.
Map, if you wanted me to.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yes, definitely.
and similarly, so YouTube is the only other one. YouTube is just a very good landing page. Now, again, we've got access to that at the moment, although, as I said, it was sort of Nick was given ownership of that YouTube channel, and it looks like he is using a that's an old Queensland address, actually, something to do with something else, maybe. But anyway, we might just need to have to work out how we do that side of things. In the short term, is there anything? So so getting access to those channels, as I said, may not be just. I'm thinking from you guys' perspective. I'm wondering. In fact, I'm wondering, John. So if I go into this business, just see who's got access at the moment. There's some chance that I can give access. Sometimes people depends how we've done it in the first place. Okay, so you can see Caitlin. Caitlin has actual fact. Caitlin has partial access, but I reckon that's possibly because, uh, and then both Belinda and Renata are inactive anyway. I might just
Oh, okay.
so
But
John, if
then,
I add you in here, um,
yeah.
let me just go back to where your email is. Make sure I copy it right again. You'll be able to. Do you have a Facebook profile?
Yeah.
Yep. So you'll be
Sure.
able to access this. It'll ask you that you've been given access, but clearly it's probably not the email that you use for your Facebook. It doesn't matter. You just accept it, but you'll
Mhm.
need to you'll probably need to. One of the reasons they go to partially active is because people don't put two-factor authorization on them. And
All right.
you need to put two. You just need to have. You've probably seen that. You just a two-factor authorization. It's a little app you can get. There's a Google app, and it just means that every time you need to go and just put a little code potentially around things. It's just because of from a security perspective. So if I go
But
in here, yep.
that go to,
So
to,
this is going to
okay.
get sent. This is going to get sent to your email, your actual email. So your
Yeah, I
John
see
at the business email. When you accept it,
it.
just go through to
Sure.
your.
He
Yep.
this email, one complete nursing and one e-health. So he's asking confirmation to which business it was.
Do you know which email it goes to, Steve?
Oh, I'm just sending it to your actual
Right.
john.health@ehealthbusiness.com. Yep. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Yep.
a bit, yeah, beautiful.
I'll send that
Yeah.
now. That might even
Right.
if you've got your computer there, then you can probably even so
Yeah, I can do it now.
then what I'll be able to do. Okay. It looks like Caitlin's got the access that she probably needs to have at the moment. So yeah, maybe that's enough.
Security key. What does this need? Oh, fine. It's all right.
There's probably going to be some information in here that's not going to be accurate then potentially as well.
Steve, looking at the access to people that you're giving here, I'm just thinking aloud here. We've got a HR email address, which is what we use to access Zoom and things like that. HR at Complete Nursing. Is that something that we should add to this list so that we could use that to log in for recruitment on LinkedIn, recruitment on Facebook? Is that something you think would be
Uh,
helpful?
you using generic emails, I'm always a little bit wary of, to be honest, because effectively then you don't know who it is that actually potentially is accessing it. So my sense to you would be I wouldn't suggest doing
Go
that.
down.
Yeah, no. You can do it on individuals, like logging in and using that as the one for, say, a Twitter or an Instagram. But realistically, at the moment, I think from a security, you're better off having them tied to people, which is what Facebook
Yeah.
wants you to do anyway. You need to be a real person that then is accessing the actual profiles and pages. So. Um,
Because as much as you're making John the champion, I can tell you he's
uh,
not going to be able to put you
no,
on
I'm not
the
making John the champion. I'm just making John the owner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it'll be Caitlin. So we want to try and route all kind of messaging that's going out on, by, and off the company through Caitlin E. Because I think it shouldn't be that people can just post on Twitter or Facebook because they have access here. It would have to go to Caitlin E so she can keep it consistent with whatever we're trying to say, and she can tell us, oh, that wording doesn't sound right based on what we've done in the past, or you might make suggestions like the marketing, the social media guru of CNHC.
Yeah. So what I tell people, though, if you've got any content, and particularly in the past, usually that's been whether it's been staff days or things along those lines, is if you think website first, do a news blog or whatever it might well be, then I can we reshare it across the social media. So, and if Caitlin wants to, so we use, without getting highly technical, we use a thing called Publer, right? So effectively, and that's another thing where probably Caitlin needs to have access to this. So effectively, at the moment, who's got access? I don't know what this one is. It's an admin email, so I'll need to change who has access to Publer. Um, so yeah, I'll probably put Caitlin in there. Not that the client. So the only reason we have, so we pay, part of your package is so that we can post to the 5 channels, right? So you can see within here, this is the post that we've done, you know, over the last whatever. So so they're being, we use this particular tool to actually schedule posts across the different channels. As I said, we just have access so that people can see what's upcoming if they want to. So that's probably most relevant for Caitlin. But then Caitlin potentially also may have access to them being able to post across it as well if she wanted to. So because we're posting every second day, if she wants to, sorry, whoops, yeah, if she wanted to post any more than that. So um, guys, yeah, so it is, I know today's a bit of a catch up. We don't normally yeah, so I'm happy to sort of do this as a bit of a chat, but I do actually have another meeting I need to get to very shortly.
Yeah, John.
In terms of I my immediate thing is probably accept. John, did you get that Facebook one? Did you actually receive that? Were you able to accept that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, trouble getting a link here, but I
Okay.
will later. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, what I was going to say is, for now, you've got those base camp invites. What I would suggest to you, once you sign in, you'll be able to go into base camp and see. As I said, navigation's pretty straightforward. You'll be able to see past reports and what we were suggesting in there. Um, it doesn't sound like there's an immediate need to change things up. Am I correct in saying that?
No, I don't. No.
Yeah, so we just continue to post as we are. What,
Yeah.
what the only thing I would say is at the moment is that, yeah, and so even from the basis that I don't even, the only question might be is, did you want us to post to the Google site in Tasmania as well as, I noticed that we've got the Tasmanian map. We could actually add that in as well if you wanted. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's expensive, another expensive, yes, but that's okay. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, maybe I'll put that in as a. I think it's probably a question I've been asking in the reporting, not knowing that it was going to people that weren't able to answer it. Maybe there is a, because I have to. It costs me to put it into the Publer, so there is a $5 a month additional cost to actually, if we wanted to post to Google in Tassie as well. That was all. So just if that's something to consider.
On that note, I did notice a couple of Queensland thing coming up. Are we able to decide what's the way ahead on that one?
Yeah,
Because
Well,
I
I think
think
that
in
that's
one of
actual factor. That's clearly that's clearly what the biggest takeaway needs to be for me at my end, is that we don't post about Queensland. Is that really now all we focus on is basically contacting the Victoria and or Tasmanian offices. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. So
And then
that's
I think Marla,
yeah.
correct, that's correct.
yeah, correct. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Marla's question would be just on supply of materials, so pictures and stories, well, pictures and copy, that I guess has been a pretty slow flow from here to you
Yeah.
in terms of
Well, we have a
posting
shared
stuff.
Dropbox basically, which again I probably need to add. So the because of when it was done, probably what I need to do is just reshare the Dropbox to people. So I don't know if you're familiar with Dropbox, but if you're able to so I'm going to make a couple of Publer.
And internally, I think we'll make sure whatever we want to put in the Dropbox goes through Caitlin because she
Yeah.
will know if it's already
Yeah,
done
that's
and
right.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't
but
want all
Right.
copies.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
particularly if they're event related posts, again, don't make the mistake of thinking only social media. If they're event related posts, what you've done in the past and what works well is just putting the couple of images on a news blog that just says we had a fun day at such and such event, whether it was you were providing information or you were working with a client or whatever it was. Please try and think photos. Often, if it needs to be, think Hillary first and website first, Steve, and social media second. Because if they're on the
I think
website, I can just share them across, right? And then you get the benefit of Google, not just and Google and all the details that go with that, not just sharing it to a news feed that's here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
no, that's how it is at the moment. We did have our annual conference and it's coming out as a newsletter, and Caitlin's getting that organized to go on the website.
And that's right. So as soon as she's done that, then it's perfect because then we've got the information. So we're fine. So you don't have to really worry about that content for me per se, right? So it's only if you have something that's real time and you might say, oh, Steve, we've just uploaded a couple of images to the Dropbox, which we'd love shared across to social media, and you just need to give me some details. But you might do that via Caitlin. You might hear Caitlin, we want to put this onto social medias. We don't really want to wait a week or two for Hillary to put it up on the website. Can you just share it across to Steve and tell him what it's all about, sort of thing? You could do it that way as well. Yeah.
Steve, just before I go, you know how you've just added us to receive the reports? Is that something we can access? Like if there's any outcome from a post, is it something that the report will say, for example?
Yeah, that's exactly what it says, and that's what Basecamp in there, and all those links are written in each of the reports, basically. Yes. So, so the reality is that's So they're very John. You'll like this, right? So most agencies will put an extra zero to what we charge, and they'll send you a 12-page report which no one reads. I send a one-page report with all the links. No one reads, but I read them. So I basically read them and I tell you what it means and I tell you what you should do about it, right? So I know straight away for you that I've been saying for months is that you'd do a lot better if you put $1 on advertising, because you've never really advertised, right? And yet we've done saved audiences, and that's when we do the setup session, we go and do saved audiences so that we target people and all that sort of stuff. You've really never ever got the benefit of that. So effectively, and that's okay, because to John's point is that at the moment it's working really well. People are seeing constant information, but the reality is, if you've got 100 people following that page, on a good day, 10 to 15 people might see it, right? So that means over the month, you have 100 to 150 people seeing a Facebook post, your Facebook posts altogether. Now, we spend $5 a day. We're likely to get 10 to 15,000 people seeing your post. And that's the difference, right? So it's a marked difference, and it's not just Facebook, it's Instagram. And you've got kind of imagery that's suitable for Instagram as well, generally speaking. So, and look, again, from an awareness perspective, you can't actually get people to go to the website from Instagram unless you're advertising. That's the only way you can get a call to action on the thing. So, but the reality is, the big opportunity, there's a couple. LinkedIn is probably another massive opportunity for you, which you guys organically, just to interact. So maybe just read, you'll be able to go into the Basecamp now, just read the last report. You'll see some of the comments that I've mentioned in there. And for anybody that's involved in the business, there's certain ways you can help the social media get seen by more people. Yeah. So cool.
I'm keen on using LinkedIn for recruitment, Steve. So we might, in our next catch up or through the report, look at options on harvesting more out of LinkedIn.
Yeah. So just so you know, so I'm happy to catch up today, and I think it's lucky and sounds very timely that we did. So normally with our clients, just so you know, we can book meetings. I just charge half my consulting rate when it's existing clients. So if you ever want to go through a period like that and have a meeting, where it's to go through things and make sure you got a handle on it all. As I said, it's just a matter of just booking some time in, and we can do that. Generally speaking, the best days for me are sort of Tuesday, Thursdays, and at a pinch Fridays. So just so you know, I'm actually in Perth next week. So but generally speaking, I think probably there's more takeaways at our end initially, so we can make sure that we're only Victoria based. But I think maybe just over the next week or so, just have a look at both the Basecamp side of things, but also what the output looks like, so you're familiar with where it's actually going. And what you'll find is, if you go into Basecamp, you can pretty much right click or open up all the links that I've created in there, whether you go via the in fact, I think Hillary's done a good enough job that that you can go to your website and do that. The only thing that Hillary didn't do, which I have also made a note, I think, in your reports, is that it's much better to have your social media opening away, not over the top of your website. Because if you have it opening over the top of your website, they'll never come back to your website. They'll get caught up in social media. So a nice little trick is to make sure that they open outside of your website. So if maybe just, I'll double check if that's happened, but go to your website, check that the links are on there, and see that they're opening away, and just get familiar with sort of what's happening and what's being posted. Maybe. That okay?
All right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we'll follow up this end with those points, and then another meeting, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's great.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, very timely. Very timely.
Thanks very much. Nice to meet you all, and thanks for calling the meeting. And it's been good, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Bye.
folks. Bye.